Have you ever wondered how something meant to bring a family together can slowly pull them apart? A house is just walls, a roof, a place to sleep, but sometimes it becomes more than that. It becomes memories, it becomes history, it becomes everything people are afraid to lose, and sometimes it becomes something else, something heavier, something dangerous. This is a story about a house. But more than that, it is a story about a family that once laughed together, a family that once believed nothing could break them, until one day, something very small began to change everything. The house stood at the end of a quiet street, old but strong. Its wooden walls carried the marks of time. Its windows reflected years of seasons, rain, sun, storms, and silence. Inside that house lived memories, the kind that stay even when people forget. Laughter from long dinners, footsteps running down the hallway, voices calling each other's names. That house belonged to their parents, to their mother's gentle care, to their father's steady hands, and for many years, it was the center of everything. Every holiday, every birthday, every difficult moment, and every happy one. The children grew up there, three of them. Anna, the oldest, careful, responsible, always thinking ahead. David, the middle child, quiet, observant, often misunderstood. And Clara, the youngest, warm, emotional, always trying to keep everyone close. They were different, very different, but they shared one thing. That house, when they were young, it was never about ownership, never about value. It was simply home. Anna would wake up early, helping their mother in the kitchen. David would sit by the window, watching the world quietly. Clara would run through the halls, laughing, filling the space with life, and their parents watched them grow with pride, with hope, believing that no matter where life took them, they would always come back to each other, to that house. Time passed, as it always does, slowly, then suddenly. Anna moved away first, a new job, a new city, a new life. She called often at the beginning, visited when she could, but slowly. The visits became shorter, the calls less frequent. David left next, not for ambition, but for distance. He wanted quiet, space, something different. Clara stayed the longest. She couldn't imagine leaving. Not the house, not their parents, not the feeling of being close. But even she eventually moved. Because life moves everyone, the house became quieter, the rooms more empty. But their parents remained, taking care of it, holding on to it, as if by protecting the house, they were protecting the family itself. Years went by. The children returned. From time to time. Holidays, special occasions, but something was different. The conversations, shorter. The laughter, less natural. There were pauses. That didn't exist before. Small disagreements, different opinions, unspoken tension, nothing serious, not yet. But something had begun. Then one winter, everything changed. Their father became ill, suddenly, unexpectedly. The house, which once felt warm, now felt heavy. The children came back, all of them. For the first time in a long time, they were together again, under the same roof. But this time, it was not for celebration. It was for something else, something no one wanted to face. Their father grew weaker each day. Their mother stayed by his side, quiet, strong. Anna tried to take control, organizing, planning, thinking ahead. David stayed mostly silent, watching, feeling everything, but saying little. Clara cried often, trying to hold on to moments that were already slipping away. The house held all of it, the fear, the sadness, the unspoken thoughts. And in those quiet nights, something else began to appear, not loudly, not clearly, but slowly. Questions, uncomfortable ones, about the future, about responsibility, about what would happen after. No one said it directly, not at first, but it was there, in the pauses, in the looks they gave each other, in the way Anna started asking practical questions, in the way David avoided those conversations, in the way Clara tried to change the subject. The house was no longer just a home. It was becoming a decision, a burden, a symbol, and none of them were ready for that. One evening, after a long silent dinner, Anna spoke, her voice calm but firm. We need to start thinking about what happens next. The words, simple, but heavy. Clara looked up immediately. Not now, she said softly. Please, not now. David didn't say anything, but his eyes shifted slightly. Anna took a breath. I'm not saying we decide anything now, she continued, but we need to be realistic. Realistic. The word felt cold, out of place, in a house filled with memories. Clara shook her head, tears already forming. This is still our home, she said, her voice breaking. Anna didn't respond immediately, because she knew. That was exactly the problem. For Clara, it was still a home. For Anna, it was becoming something else. Responsibility, cost, practicality. David finally spoke. What are you suggesting? He asked quietly. Anna hesitated, just for a moment, and then said, we may have to sell it. The words fell into the room, like something fragile, breaking, and in that moment, something invisible shifted between them, not loudly, not dramatically, but deeply, because that was the first time. The house was no longer just theirs. It became something to divide, something to argue over, something that could break them, and none of them knew yet how far that would go. Words, once spoken, cannot be taken back, even when they are quiet, even when they are said carefully, because sometimes it is not the volume, but the meaning. That changes everything. After Anna said those words, we may have to sell it, the house felt different, not physically. The walls were the same, the furniture unchanged, the air still heavy with winter silence, but something invisible had shifted. Clara stood up slowly, as if the chair beneath her had suddenly become uncomfortable. No, she said, soft but firm. Anna didn't respond immediately. She had expected resistance, but not this quickly, not this clearly. We're not talking about this now, Clara continued, her voice trembling, but holding its ground. It's too soon. Too soon. The words echoed in the room. David looked between them, his expression unreadable, because both of them were right, and both of them were wrong. Anna folded her hands together, trying to stay calm. I didn't say we have to decide today, she said. I said we need to start thinking. Clara shook her head. No, you're already deciding, she replied. You always do. The sentence, sharp, unexpected. Anna blinked slightly because that wasn't how she saw herself. I'm just trying to be practical, she said. Practical, another word. That didn't belong in that room. Not now. Not here. Clara laughed softly, but there was no warmth in it. Practical, she repeated. This is our home. Her voice broke, just a little. This is where everything happened. Her eyes moved around the room, as if she could still see the past. We can't just treat it like something to sell. Anna's expression tightened because she understood that feeling, but she also saw something else: bills, repairs, responsibilities, things Clara wasn't thinking about. Oh, who's going to take care of it? Anna asked quietly. The question, simple but heavy. Clara didn't answer because she didn't have one. David finally spoke. We don't have to decide anything tonight, he said, his voice calm. Let's just leave it for now. Silence returned, but it wasn't peaceful. It was full, crowded, uncomfortable. That night, no one slept well. Anna lay awake, staring at the ceiling, her mind moving from one thought to another. She wasn't trying to be cold. She wasn't trying to erase memories. She was trying to prevent problems. But somehow, it felt like she had already caused one. In another room, Clara sat on the floor, beside her bed, her back against the wall. She held an old photo in her hands, all of them, standing in front of the house, smiling, together. This is home, she whispered, as if saying it out loud could protect it, could stop what was coming. David stood by the window in his room, looking out into the dark. He understood both sides too well, and that was the problem, because understanding doesn't always help you choose. The next morning, the house felt quieter, not calm, just careful. Anna moved through the kitchen, making coffee, avoiding eye contact. Clara stayed upstairs longer than usual, and David watched everything, like he always did. At breakfast, no one mentioned the conversation from the night before, but it was there, in the way Clara didn't look at Anna, in the way Anna spoke less than usual, in the way David paused before saying anything. Later that day, a doctor visited. Their father's condition had not improved. The room filled with quiet concern, and for a moment, everything else disappeared. The house, the argument, the future. None of it mattered. Only that moment. Only him. Clara held her father's hand, tears falling silently. Anna stood at the foot of the bed, still, composed. David leaned against the wall, watching, feeling everything, but showing little. Their mother sat beside him, her hand resting gently on his arm. The doctor spoke softly, carefully, but the message was clear. Time was limited. When the doctor left, no one spoke, because there was nothing to say. Later, in the quiet of the afternoon, Clara found Anna in the hallway, standing alone. You shouldn't have said that, Clara said quietly. Anna turned, her expression tired. I know it's hard, she replied, but avoiding it won't change anything. Clara shook her head. It's not about avoiding, she said. It's about respect. Anna frowned slightly. Respect? Yes, Clara continued. This house isn't just a thing. Anna's voice softened. I know that. Do you? Clara asked, her eyes searching. Because it didn't sound like it last night? Anna hesitated, because maybe it hadn't sounded that way. I'm thinking about all of us, she said finally. The future. Clara looked at her, long, carefully. And I'm thinking about the past, she said, and the two stood there, facing each other, not as sisters, not in that moment, but as two people, with two different truths, and neither one was willing to let go. That evening, David sat with their mother in the living room, the same room, where everything used to feel simple. She wants to sell it, David said quietly. Their mother didn't react immediately. She just looked ahead, at nothing in particular. I heard, she replied softly. David waited, then asked, What do you think? Their mother sighed gently. This house, she began, has given us everything. Her voice filled with memory, but it has also taken a lot to keep it. David nodded slightly, because he understood that. Sometimes, she continued, holding on too tightly can hurt more than letting go. David looked at her, surprised, because he hadn't expected that answer. But, she added, it depends on how you let go. The sentence stayed with him, because it wasn't simple. Nothing about this was simple. That night, as the house grew quiet again, the tension remained, unspoken, unresolved. The house still stood, strong, silent, but inside, cracks had begun to form, not in the walls, but between them. And those cracks would not be easy to repair. Grief does not always bring people closer. Sometimes it reveals what was already breaking. The days that followed felt slower, heavier, as if time itself was moving carefully inside that house. And their father's condition did not improve. Each morning, he seemed a little weaker. Each night, a little further away. Clara stayed by his side the most, holding his hand, speaking softly, telling him stories, as if her voice could keep him here. Anna helped in different ways, talking to doctors, handling phone calls, making sure everything was in order. David stayed in the background, watching, listening, carrying thoughts he still didn't know how to say, and the house held all of it. The quiet footsteps, the whispered conversations, the moments of hope, and the slow arrival of reality. One afternoon, their father opened his eyes, a little wider than usual. Clara leaned closer immediately. "Dad," she whispered. His gaze moved slowly, from Clara to Anna to David, as if he was trying to see all of them. One last time, his voice weak, almost a breath. "Stay together." 3 simple words, but they filled the room. Clara nodded quickly, tears falling. "We will," she said, her voice shaking. Anna looked down, her lips pressed together. David closed his eyes, just for a moment, because something inside him knew those words would not be easy to keep. That night, the house felt different again, quieter than before, not peaceful, not calm, just still. And in that stillness, their father passed away. No loud moment, no dramatic goodbye, just a quiet ending, like a light slowly fading. Clara cried openly, her grief unfiltered, unhidden. Anna stood still, tears in her eyes, but controlled, holding herself together like she always did. David stepped outside into the cold night air, because sometimes grief needs space and silence. The days after became a blur. Visitors came and went. Voices filled the house again, but not with laughter, with condolences, with quiet sympathy. People spoke about memories, about kindness, about a life well lived, but underneath all of it, there was something else, something waiting. The question no one wanted to ask. What happens now? After the funeral, the house emptied again. The silence returned. But this time, it was heavier, because now it was final. Clara walked through the rooms, slowly touching objects, pausing at doors, as if trying to hold on to what was already gone. Anna sat at the table, papers in front of her, documents, numbers, plans, because for her, grief and responsibility existed at the same time. David watched both of them and felt the distance growing, not suddenly, not sharply, but steadily, like a crack, spreading through glass. That evening, Anna spoke again, her voice quieter than before. "We need to talk," she said. Clara didn't look at her. I don't want to, she replied. Anna sighed gently. I know, but we have to. David sat down slowly because he knew this moment would come. Anna placed a document on the table. The house is in all of our names now, she said. The words clear, final. Clara's hands tightened slightly. I don't care about that, she said. Anna looked at her. But it matters, she replied softly. It means we have to decide together. Clara shook her head. No, she said. You want to decide. The tension returned immediately, stronger this time, because now there was no delay, no reason to wait, only the truth, standing between them. Anna tried to stay calm. I'm not trying to take anything from you, she said. I'm trying to make sure we don't lose everything. Clara laughed again, soft, bitter. We already lost everything, she said, her voice breaking. This was the last thing we had. David finally spoke. Clara, he began, but she raised her hand. No, she said, you don't get to stay quiet anymore. The words hit him unexpectedly because she was right. He had been silent, watching, understanding, but not choosing. And now, that silence was part of the problem. What do you want, David? Clara asked, her eyes searching, demanding. For the first time, he didn't look away. I don't want us to fight, he said quietly. Clara shook her head. That's not an answer. Anna watched him, waiting, because this time, he couldn't stay in the middle. David took a breath, long, slow. I think, he began, we need time. Clara closed her eyes. Time won't fix this, she said. Anna leaned forward slightly. Then what will? She asked. The question hung in the air, heavy, unanswered, because none of them knew. Not really. The house still stood around them, silent. But now it felt different. Not like a home, not like a memory, but like something else, something dividing them, something pulling them in different directions. And for the first time, they all felt it. The truth they didn't want to face, that this house, the place that once held them together, might be the very thing that tears them apart. There are moments when a family does not break all at once. It breaks in small decisions, in quiet disagreements, in words that feel reasonable, but carry something deeper. After that night, nothing was the same. Not openly, not dramatically, but underneath everything. There was tension, like a thread, pulled too tight. Anna began making calls, quietly, carefully, real estate agents, lawyers, people who spoke in numbers and clear outcomes. She didn't tell Clara, not immediately, because she already knew how Clara would react. But to Anna, this was not betrayal. It was preparation. Something had to be done. Bills were coming, repairs were needed. The house was not just memory. It was responsibility. David noticed the change, the way Anna spent more time on her phone, the way she stepped outside to talk. He didn't ask at first, because part of him didn't want to know, but silence had already caused enough distance. One afternoon, he followed her outside, not aggressively, not suddenly, just present. You're making plans, he said quietly. Anna turned, surprised, but not shocked. Yes, she replied. David nodded slowly. Without us? Anna sighed. I was going to tell you, she said. When? He asked. She didn't answer immediately, because she didn't have a clear answer. David looked at her, long, carefully. This isn't just your decision, he said. I know, Anna replied, her voice steady. But someone has to start. David shook his head slightly. starting something like this. Without agreement. He paused, searching for the right words. It doesn't bring people together, he finished. Anna's expression tightened. I'm not trying to bring us together, she said quietly. I'm trying to prevent things from getting worse. David looked at her, and for the first time, he saw something clearly. Anna wasn't cold. She was afraid of losing control, afraid of things falling apart, afraid of uncertainty. But the way she handled that fear was pushing them further away. Inside the house, Clara was in the living room, looking through old boxes, letters, photographs, small objects that meant nothing to anyone else, but everything to her. She found a note written by their father, simple, short. Take care of each other. The words, familiar, but now they felt different, heavier because she wasn't sure they were doing that anymore. That evening, everything came to the surface. Anna placed a folder on the table. I spoke to an agent, she said. Clara froze. The room went completely still. You what? She asked slowly. Anna kept her voice calm. I just wanted to understand the options, she said. And Clara stood up suddenly. You're already moving forward, she said, her voice rising. I told you we need to think about this, Anna replied. No, Clara said sharply. You're deciding and calling it thinking. David stepped closer. Let's slow down, he said, but Clara didn't stop. You didn't even wait, she continued. You didn't even respect what this means to me. Anna's patience began to crack. It means something to me too, she said. Then why are you treating it like a transaction? Clara asked. The word hit hard. Transaction, cold, distant. Anna's voice sharpened. Because it is one, she said. Clara stared at her, as if she didn't recognize her anymore. No, she said quietly. It's not. The silence that followed was louder than any argument. David looked between them. The distance, now impossible to ignore. We're not just talking about a house, Clara said, her voice softer now, but deeper. We're talking about everything that happened here. Anna took a breath. And what happens if we can't keep it? She asked. Clara didn't answer immediately because she hadn't thought that far. She had only thought about not losing it, not letting go. David spoke again. There has to be another way, he said. Anna looked at him. Like what? He hesitated because he didn't have a clear answer, and that was the problem. Clara turned away, her arms crossed, her body closed. I'm not selling, she said firmly. Anna shook her head. You don't get to decide that alone. Clara turned back quickly. And neither do you. The argument, now fully open, no longer quiet, no longer controlled. It wasn't just about the house anymore. It was about control, about respect, about being heard, and beneath all of it, something deeper, old feelings, unspoken resentments, differences. That had been ignored for years. Now, there was no space to ignore them. Days passed, but the tension didn't fade. It grew. Conversations became shorter, colder. Meals were no longer shared. The house, which once held them together, now separated them. Anna spent more time outside. Clara stayed inside, holding on to memories. David moved between both worlds, but belonged to neither. And slowly, something began to happen, not loudly, not suddenly, but clearly. They were no longer acting like a family. They were becoming opponents, each one protecting their own view, each one believing they were right, and the house stood in the middle, silent, watching, as the people it once held together began to fall apart. Because sometimes the thing you fight to keep is the very thing that breaks you. There comes a moment in every conflict when something shifts, not because someone wins, but because everyone begins to lose. The house was no longer quiet in a peaceful way. It was quiet in a distant way. Three people living under one roof, but no longer living together. Anna stayed out longer each day, meetings, calls, decisions, moving forward. Clara stayed inside, holding on to the past, rereading letters, looking at old photographs, sitting in rooms that no longer felt the same. David watched both of them drift further and further apart, and for the first time, he realized something clearly. If nothing changed, there would be nothing left to save. One morning, a letter arrived, official, cold. Anna opened it at the table, her expression tightening. Clara noticed immediately. "What is it?" she asked. Anna hesitated, but only for a second. "It's about the property," she said. Clara stood still. "What about it?" Anna looked up. "If we don't reach an agreement, it may go to legal dispute." The words fell hard, heavy, final. Clara's face changed from anger to something deeper, fear. "You did this," she said quietly. Anna shook her head. "No, this is what happens when we don't decide." Clara laughed softly, but there was no humor in it. "You started all of this," she said. "I tried to solve it," Anna replied. David stepped in. "Stop," he said, his voice stronger than before. Both of them turned to him because something was different. He wasn't avoiding it anymore. "We're not solving anything," he continued. "We're destroying everything." Silence. Real silence. Not avoidance. Not tension. Just truth. Clara looked down. Anna said nothing. David took a slow breath. "This house," he said, "is not what's breaking us." They both looked at him again. "It's what we're bringing into it," he added. The words, simple but undeniable. Clara's eyes filled with tears. "I just didn't want to lose it," she whispered. Anna's voice softened. "I didn't want us to lose everything else," she said. And there it was. Not opposition, not enemies, just different fears. Clara feared losing the past. Anna feared losing the future. And David had feared choosing it all. But now, there was no more time to wait. "We need to decide," he said. "Not about the house." He paused. "About us." The room felt smaller, closer, because for the first time, they were not arguing about property. They were facing what they had become. Clara wiped her tears slowly. "What if we already lost that?" she asked. Anna looked at her, her voice quieter than ever before. "Then this house won't fix it," she said. David nodded. "And keeping it won't bring it back." The truth was no longer avoidable. Clara looked around the room. The walls, the furniture, the memories, all still there, but something else was gone. Something invisible, something more important. She sat down slowly. "I don't want to fight anymore," she said. Anna closed her eyes briefly. "Neither do I." David sat with them. Closer this time, not in the middle, but with them. "Then we let it go," he said. Clara looked at him, not shocked, not angry, just tired. "Let it go?" she repeated. He nodded. "The house," he said softly. Anna watched Clara carefully, waiting, not pushing. For once, Clara took a deep breath, long, shaky. "I thought keeping it meant keeping him," she said. Anna's eyes filled with tears. "He's not here," she replied gently, "but we are." And that was the difference. The house was never really the connection. They were. And somewhere along the way, they had forgotten that. Days later, they signed the papers together, not easily, not without emotion, but without anger. The house was sold, and with it, something else was released, not forgotten, but no longer, holding them apart. On the last day, they stood in the empty living room, no furniture, no boxes, just space. Clara looked around one last time. It feels smaller, she said quietly. Anna smiled faintly. Or maybe we've changed. David walked to the door, then stopped. Do you remember what he said? He asked. They both looked at him. Stay together. The words, still simple, still heavy, but now they felt different. Not like a promise they failed to keep, but like a choice they could still make. Clara stepped closer. Anna followed, not perfectly healed, not completely whole, but closer than before. And sometimes that is enough, because family is not what you inherit, it's what you choose to protect, even after everything breaks, even after everything changes. And sometimes letting go of a place is the only way to find your way back to each other. Thank you for listening. If this story touched you, take a moment to reflect. Have you ever held on to something that was quietly hurting your relationships? And if you're learning English with this story, keep going. Slowly, gently, because understanding, just like healing, takes time.